Welcome back. Nothing new. Nothing new is happening. Nothing new is happening, but a lot's happening. So the last video was the 55, and the 55 has gone. I spoke with, or I messaged the new owner, and he's got it. He's happy. I believe it's actually registered now, so he moves fast. That's cool. It'll be good to see it on the road and being enjoyed and driven around. So what does that mean? It means that I've got actually another project lined up, another project happening. I might keep it a bit of a surprise for the moment, but it also means that I've got an interstate trip planned in the coming weeks. So I'm getting this thing ready for about, about 800 kilometers one way. So yeah, 1,600 kilometer round trip. What's that in miles? Oh man, I don't know. I'll have to calculate that up, do the old Google calculation. But yeah, just going through this thing, did an oil change just today. I bought a new radiator. So the radiator, I haven't opened it yet, but we'll check that out soon. The radiator in this thing is, well mate, it keeps cool. It keeps super cool, but it looks like a mess. Someone's, the fans let go at some point, and yeah, those fins are in a really bad way, and I've tried to straighten them up with a little fine screwdriver, but they're just pretty mangled. And given that I'm going to be going interstate and I'm going to be towing a trailer, I sort of want a new radiator just to be sure. What else have I done? Just basically going through all the little things that you need to go through before you do a long trip, right? Checking wheel bearings in the front. I've pulled the whole front assembly apart, making sure that everything's good. Those fronts are probably the one thing that I hadn't gone through on the entire truck. So I just wanted to see if there was any grease inside the hubs, inside the balls, and there was plenty of grease. Everything looks good. Brakes are good. They're all adjusted. I've got some unis. I've got just getting some tools together. I've got a fuel pump. I've got some spare unis. Got a jack. Spare straps, fuel, oil, all the rest of it. The other thing that I did was I got my radio working, which is pretty cool. Aerial was not playing the game, so I had to put a new aerial in it. So now I've got some AM tunes.
Students, teachers, parents and government all need to take responsibility. If that's not obvious, you don't belong in the conversation.
Hey, AM tunes are better than no tunes, right? So that's all sorted. New dimmer switch, that was on its way out. Put one of those in it. A good buddy of mine donated a cool old fuel cap for me, which is great. Yeah, just making sure everything's tight and buttoned up. But look, I'll get this, radiator. Did I tell you about the radiator? This is I can maybe try to do this while one-handed. I can see other people doing this online, so a bit too flash for this truck, I tell you what. Radiator. All right, well, I'm going to get a few things organised this end. Okay, so direct replacements are never essentially direct replacements, right? You can actually see how bad this radiator was or is. But like I said, the thing keeps cool, doesn't leak. So yeah, I will actually save this. Won't be going to the scrapyard just yet. So you can see here where there's actually been a cutout for the steering box in the truck. I'm not actually sure what the steering box is off. Some of you guys out there might be able to tell me. But obviously it's a power steering unit, but given the cutout on this bracket here, which is exclusive to Highboys only, it's actually a radiator mount, or actually not sure what that is, but Highboys only had these supports on the radiator support. No other trucks did, so that's another way of finding out whether you got a Highboy or not. But someone's cut out that bracket to suit that steering box. Anyway, I've had to do something similar. So you can see there, that's the old one. Looks like they've used an oxy or a pair of tin snips. I've actually just done a nice neat cut on that one. Didn't need that much to clearance it. I've got to find a couple of bungs. There's a bung there and also a bung there and a bung there for transmission lines, I'm assuming. Cooler lines, I should say. So I've just got to bung them up, and I think I've got some fittings. Here that actually fit. So I've just got to make sure. Just got to get another one of these. So that's just a blank. That was just off a Carby kit that I got. So I'll just get another one of those. This is the plastic bung that it came in. I'm just going to replace that with a brass one. I don't trust plastic. So yeah, I'll throw that in the truck now. And hopefully it goes in. I've just got to move. So it was actually mounting on here, the existing one, and I'm actually going to mount it on the back here. So I'll just move those clips to the front, I should say, and I reckon it'll go in. Wish me luck. Alrighty, it's the next morning, and last night after I fitted the radiator, so sun is shining, which is actually a bit of a rarity out here at the moment. Even though it's coming into spring, it's still cold. I think it feels like -3 this morning, but yeah, we're pushing through. Radiator is in. It was a little bit more of a pain to get it in than first thought, so I had to use the back mounts versus the Highboy mounts at the front here. I think yesterday I actually said that I wasn't sure what this bracket's for, but obviously that's to mount the radiator. One thing I did after getting the radiator in last night, I haven't put any coolant in it because I have to put the bungs in, which I ran down this morning into town to get some plugs or bungs for the bottom of the radiator for transmission cooling. But when I started it last night, I heard a bit of a funny whine in the alternator. And I did rebuild this alternator when I first got this thing on the road, because it was super, like it was worn, and it did actually have a bad sound to it as well. So I pulled it apart, put new bearings through it. But when I did put that back bearing in, that little needle roller bearing in, I bought a new one, but it sort of seemed a little bit big, so I used the original one. And I reckon you can see here how it's sticking out. I haven't tried hammering that in, but I reckon that's part of the issue. That should be flush with that face there, and it's not. And so what I did is I spoke to a good buddy of mine last night who's a Ford guy, and I said, have you got any 1G alternators? And he's like, yep, I got this one here. So I ran down this morning, bought that off him, which is this one here. I just put it on, all good. Test light running about 12.8 volts idle, and it jumps up to about 13 or 14 on with a few revs. So good as gold so far. Sounds good, looks good. We'll run with that for the moment. Next up is bungs. I'm not sure what I've done with them. They're here somewhere. Anyway, I'll go and find them, whack them in, and then I'll give you an update. All right, here we go. She's running. Up to operating temperature. Alternator seems fine. Radiator isn't leaking. Temp is good, quarter. Oil pressure is great. Happy days.